Okay, so now as per our last discussion, so what was what we were doing, like we add here one folder. Okay, let me remove this. Yeah, so this Django project folder I have created in the desktop. Okay, now inside this I have to create come first. Very good. Okay, so inside this Django project I want to create first, what I have to create? Virtual environment, correct? So to that I have to install virtual environment first step, correct? That is the starting point. I have to install virtual environment. How will you install virtual environment? Pip install virtual env. This command you have to write. Pip install virtual env. So I'll do this now. Okay. Yeah. So it's saying that requirement already satisfied. That means that virtual environment is installed for me. Right? What next? After virtual env is installed, what next? We have to create our virtual environment. Correct? So now in this folder, whatever the folder I am inside here, Django project, there is nothing as of now. I have to create venv, like virtual environment. Following? So how to create that? You have to do virtual env space env name, whatever the name you can give. Okay, I just go with standard form like venv. That by saying that you will understand that is virtual environment for me. Okay, virtual env space venv. So it takes some time and it will create virtual environment for me, and you can observe parallelly that folder is appearing in my Django project. Yeah, it's done. Everything is created. After virtual env creation of venv, what is the next step? To execute our script and all, you have to activate this virtual space, virtual env. This is the flow you have to follow, guys. Okay. First install virtual environment, next create virtual environment, next activate virtual environment. So how will you activate now? I want your answers, right? How will you activate? Steps, like what is the code? Name of the virtual environment, backslash, then script, slash, then activate. Okay. Name of the virtual environment, scripts, slash, activate. Okay. So once I do this, you can observe. I just make it. I think this is not good. Yeah. Going out of the frame. This is good. Yeah. Now you can observe the virtual env is activated. You can see that parenthesis, that is identification of activation, right? So that is activated now. Now you are good to execute any kind of scripts in this now, right? So now I need to create project, that is Django project. First of all, to create Django project, that Django software must be present in this venv. You might have installed in other venv Django. That doesn't mean Django is there in this venv. So you can check that Django-admin version. Oh. Django-admin, okay, space version. So if you check this, if the Django is there, you will get the Django version and all. But now here Django-admin is not present here, recognize. That means you have to install freshly, guys. Okay, so to do that, what you will do? Same thing, pip install Django. Okay, pip install. Oh, I'm going. Pip install Django. Right? Enter now. So it will download from the internet. Internet connection should be there. That is the prerequisite. So it takes some time now. It is going to collect all the Django packages and it is going to install. So these steps must and should be clear for everybody up to this, right? After activating the venv, you must install Django, pip install Django. Clear up to this, all of you? Yeah. So now it is installing collected packages, all these things, right? Yeah. In my case, it's got installed now. Once Django software is installed, my responsibility is to create the Django project now. Okay. Next step is create the Django project. So I told yesterday one command to create Django project. Can anybody tell? Okay, before that you can check what is the Django version here installed, right? I can check here Django-admin version. You can observe 5.0.7 is the latest version. I upgraded my Python so that it is installed the latest version only. Okay. Now 5.0.7 is the latest version of Django right now. Now I want to create the project. So what is the command? Django-admin space. Next command? Start project. No space. Okay. Start project is a single word. Next space. Project name you have to give. I just give now here my first project. Okay. This is going to be my project name. Okay. Let's enter the enter button now. So once you do that, fraction of second, it has created the folder in that parallelly to the venv, like my first project. Okay. So now if you open that folder, you can see many more files actually. My first project, then manage.py, and in the my first project there is a like init file, settings file, urls file, all those things. These are the default files we'll get from the project. Okay. Today we will understand what are the things present in that files, what for these files are going to be useful. Okay. So now yesterday we discussed what is the use of this manage.py file. This is the entry point file. Okay. Or we can call it as main file. When you are executing other programming, there will be main functions kind of, right? So this is the main file you are going to tell to the Django server to start the server. Okay, we'll use this file only. In this file there will be some settings they have already written. Using that it will start the server. Okay, to start the server, manage.py file compulsory. Now how to start the server means, first of all, okay, first you just dir here, mean directory list. You can observe here in this current folder current directory what I am present now, I am not able to see manage.py. Okay, you have to use the manage.py file to run the server, so that manage.py file is present in this folder, my first project, my project folder is present. Now you have to change the directory, cd space my first project. Okay, then if you dir, you can see manage.py file is there for me to use. Now you have to use that. I will use python manage.py space command is run server. Python space manage.py space run server. So this is the command. Once you enter, it will start the server for me. I mean project server going to start. Now observe, it is going to give me one URL like 127.0.0.1 is the localhost corresponding IP, and Django server by default runs at 8000 port number 8000. Okay, So now if you navigate to this URL, you are going to get the home page or first page of that server. Okay, let me copy that URL and let me paste here in the browser, and you can observe my all the settings and project is configured properly. Now server is running. This is the home page now. Now up to this yesterday we discussed, correct now? Everybody followed this much? This is a quick recall, right? Now from here, what next we have to learn, what next we have to understand, that is the today's agenda, right? So today we will understand, I don't want to see this first page coming from the default. I want to manipulate this page somewhat, alright? Or I want to send my data, that is the thing going to do further. But before that, we will try to understand the project folders, right? That is the first thing. That means, oh sorry, yeah, here. In this project, my project folder, all these files are there. What are the responsibility, what are the main intention of that, all those files? We'll have a quick review of that. Later on that, we'll go and check other things. Okay. Before that, I don't want to go to these directories and open and show. We'll clone entire this project, or maybe copy or open this entire project in any editors. That will be good for us. So I prefer now opening in PyCharm, okay, or VS Code, anything is fine, okay. Let me open PyCharm now. Everybody have this editors, right? IDEs. So now I want to open my project. So go to file, go to open, or else we can do this way also. 1 minute. Yeah, this is the project, right? You can directly click, right click, we will get to open with option, right? Okay, open with code I am getting, but I am not able to get okay, PyCharm is not like configured properly, right? Add new interpreter. Okay, let's load from here. From open, we can go to desktop now, correct? Inside desktop, we have directory called Django projects, right? Let's not this, Django project, this one. So click that and click OK. And it has some permissions and all. Trust project, click on that, and this window, it will open in this window only. Okay, so it takes some time to load all the things. Wait for that. You can meanwhile check here. My first project directory is open, right? Inside that manage.py is there, and venv also is there above that, right? Now below that my first project, this is the project name actually, guys. That project name can be anything, doesn't matter to the Django, okay? But inside that Django itself created me one other directory called same like project name only, my first project. So this name or this directory is going to act as a module, Python module or Python package for the Django. Whenever you want to import something or do something, you should use this name, my first project. Okay. So now let me expand multiple projects. Multiple projects. You can have, but that is not a good approach. Okay. Yeah, so when I expand this, my project, here you can see, first thing I will go with settings.py, guys. Okay, we'll understand settings.py file. What is the use of that? Okay, let me open that, and I think you people meanwhile checking that right with me. Okay, you can check that settings.py. So by name itself, it is understandable, like this settings.py file is used for make our settings to the project. Any kind of setting, like it is a global setting actually, like some kind of database settings, some kind of application settings, some kind of restrictions, some kind of security settings, some kind of middlewares, so and so different things will come. All those things will be present here. Okay, you can observe here, like whatever the host we are going to hello, whatever the web IP address we can hello, and whatever the apps you will create, all these apps you have to be listed over here. Okay, these things going to be, and whatever the templates we'll talk about now, like templates, HTML files, that root directories, all those things you are going to configure here. Okay, that things are like coming days will discuss, but still you should be understanding here, like whatever the database you have to connect, that settings will come here. Okay, now, and remaining things are by default it will be there. Whenever required we'll change it, that's it. Okay, so setting.py is the settings file for the project. Clear? Next one, urls.py. Okay, this urls.py is the file where you are going to define all your URL paths for the routing purpose. Like one page to other page, or one function to other page, how it is going to route, how it is going to redirect. Okay, that things, for example, you are in the login page. Once login page is executed, it has to go to the profile page or dashboard page, something like that, right? So that URL paths are going to defined in this urls file. Okay, so this is the one thing, and it comes with good full-fledged documentation. However, you can follow and you can understand easy way, right? So URL file is understood, guys. It is used for routing purpose. Next is this init.py. Actually, here any preloaded code you have to write, initialization part, something you can keep here, but normally we don't use this. That is just a package to make it all these files as a modules. That's it. Okay, now we have two more things, like ASGI.py and wsgi.py. So these two files are responsible for deployment, guys. After development, our project, once you want to deploy in the cloud or somewhere, this configuration takes place. Like here, these things are going to cater the some functionalities. Okay, here, what is this ASGI file means? Asynchronous gateway interface, asynchronous server gateway interface. Okay, that is going to sync with the server. Okay, so that is the one thing. And wsgi means web server gateway interface. These two things are deployment team, DevOps team is going to interact with these teams. Okay, as a developer, we no need to take tension about these two files. Don't worry. Okay, up to this clear? Project directory structures, cool. Now we are good to move to the first step.
What will be in ASGI and
Nothing. By default, some settings coming, like once we creating observe here, some environment from the environment, Django setting module, my project and settings. From that settings, whatever the settings.py is there, from that settings, it is loading all the settings into this server gateway interface. So from this server gateway interface file, when you are deploying from other server, where you are deploying other server, right? It will, this settings going to that server. So synchronization going to happen. That is the reason this file is there here. Okay, nothing else. Anything, any other doubt? Making sense up to this? Now let's move on to the next thing. Okay, we are good here, all these things. Runserver, all those things is over, understood. We have loaded the our PyCharm file, everything is done. Okay, so this thing we have discussed, like yeah, this ASGI file is entry point for ASGI compatible web server to serve your project. Okay, all the settings going to copy over there. Then wsgi file, like wsgi file, an entry point for wsgi compatible web servers. There are different kind of web server will be there, like for example Apache or Nginx, or maybe one more I'm not able to recall. Okay, these two are like more famous servers: Apache server, Nginx server, all those things. Okay, right? Then URL, all the URL path declaration will be done in the urls.py file. Okay, that is there. Now we'll understand how this views. Okay, in our project architecture, right? Like Django project architecture, we have, what is that, MVT, right? Model, views, template. So first, as a developer, you are going to start with views, guys, because you are going to define the functionalities. First you are going to define the functionalities, then you are going to connect with the URLs, and you are going to connect with the models. So first, for our learning point, views is the first point for us. Okay, so we'll understand how these views are going to work. Let me, yeah. So what is this view file actually? View file is a Python file where you are going to write the code, right? So we'll understand how this view file is going to helpful for us, right? So view is a component of web application, right? And it is used to handle all the incoming requests. I shown yesterday, right, with that registration and login example. When some data is entered and click on register, that request, HTTP request, will go to the views only. Will go to the views only from the front end. So that means the views file is going to first entry point, or maybe first thing going to take the request or receive the request. That is what I am talking about here. View is used to handle all incoming requests from the browser. Okay. Now let's see. There is one client. Okay. In the client, let's assume a web browser. I am typing like www.xyz.com website. I'm entering that. Once I enter, I will get HTTP request. Everything up HTTP request is going to come. So now that HTTP request going to the server, my Django server in my case. So in the Django server, what will be there? All my components will be there. All my files will be there. Whatever the project files we discussed right now, all the file will be present in the Django server itself. Correct? Now what happens when I getting some request? Specifically, that request should go to the particular entry point of the server, right? So there, first my www.xyz.com means that is a what actually technically? URL. Technically that is a URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So using that URL, I want to locate some resource from the server or internet. That is the meaning, right? So now that request will go to URLs. Okay. First of all, because that URL, whatever they are requesting, that is present or not in my server urls.py file, it will take care of that. If it is present, then next step it will do. Okay. Now assume that www.xyz.com it is present in the URLs file now. Okay. Now Django server, I mean my Django should understand for that request what functionality I have to execute. Correct now? For that URL, what task I have to do. That is the meaning. Right? So now all the functionality, all the task I am wrapped or maybe written inside my view file. inside my view file. That Django will be knowing that flow or architecture, right? So now from the URL, request will go to views. Understanding? From the URL, request will go to views. That means each and every URL mapped with particular views, particular view function. One URL, like each URL going to map with its separate function, view function. That is the internal architecture going to follow, right? We'll understand that. Now this URL going to like open the view function and it will execute that function. So after that executing that view function, we know that if any that function require database connection, means it will go to the database and fetch the data and come back to the view and again go to the web web browser with the output. After this clear? Okay. So now all browsers request will be handled by the views. That is what our ultimate understanding from this screen actually. Because URL comes to the our entry, like URL will come, that URL is mapped with the view functions. That view function is going to handle all the requests. Clear? All of you? Okay. So now let us understand these things now clearly. How we are going to map the URLs, right? Each URL going to map with each view function, correct? So this part, if you understand, remaining part very easy. So this part is very important part for us as a step point, like starting point, right? So now tell me guys, where we are going to write the URLs or where we are going to define the URLs? urls.py. Very good. Okay, now let's assume this is my web server. In that web server I am having www.xyz.com. This is my project website code is there. Okay, like urls.py is there and views.py is there, then template files are there, then database models files also will be there, assume like that. Now in the Google Chrome I am entering one request, that is URL coming to the request is coming to the HTTP request coming to the url.py. Then it will check that URL is there or not. Then it will go to views.py. Then it will execute all the code. Okay. Then return it will send to me HTTP response. This cycle is repeating cycle always, right? HTTP request received to handled by the views.py and it will send to the HTTP response to the screen, like web browser itself. Client, we'll call it as client here onwards. Okay, it will send to the client HTTP response. Okay, so now we'll so once let's see here now. Once I give here URL changed, like I am giving now www.xyz/home or maybe /login or maybe /register, let's assume. Okay, now what happens, again this request will come to the server. Now in my views.py, let's assume there must be home function. Okay, there must be home function. So it will go to that home function and execute that, and related to that home function, whatever the output I will get, that output I will get. It will send as a HTTP response. Understanding? If I get here login, then there must be login function. Then in the login function, what output it has to give? It will give to the login output. Understanding? See, this imagination and this internal understanding very important to code also. Directly you can't go and code actually. You should know what you are going to do. Because it is not a, like you should understand what is back end happening, what is front end happening. Completely clear picture if you know, if you have, then only you can easily write the code. By blindly you can't do it here. Okay, you should understand the flow properly. Okay, I think up to this flow is clear, everybody. Any doubt or question? Okay, so now with this information we are good to create maybe URL or maybe view function. Okay, we'll do that, right? So let's say we understand that this view is the entry point of our website, right? And view is designed to using Python code. It is a Python file only, views.py, correct? So now we'll see each, as our discussion, each URL will have one like matching function, view function. Each URL will be having matching view function. That means whenever you create view URL, you must create a function like a view function. That is what you have to match somehow that URL with that function. How to match and all, technically we'll see that, don't worry. Okay, now, okay, with this information, one URL is mapped to one function in views.py. We understood that. So let's see one example. Technical, like programmatically, one example. If you see now, definitely you will get a 100% clear picture here, right? So now, depending on number of URLs we have, there will be same number of view functions. Okay, how many URLs will be there? That many view functions should be there, because each URL is going to map with each function. That is the thing. Now let's see. Okay. I just exit from this slide now. Okay. Come to coding, project part now. Okay, whatever the discussion we have done, we'll do practically now. Like create one URL, create one view function, and map it, and try to execute that. Okay. So now what I'll do, I don't want this ASCII file, na? Remove that. So before writing those things, na, we must. Okay. So first thing is like, if you observe here, okay, in our project directory, I am having settings, URLs, Python files, but I am talking about views.py file. Correct now? In views.py file, we should write the functions, but I don't have views.py file in my project. By default, it is not giving to me. So I have to create now. I have to create that views.py file in my project folder to write the functions. Understanding, guys? Now let's do this first part. Create here. In this my first project, right click, new, then you'll get Python file option, create, then give the name like views, then .py is going to be taken from this Python file itself, views, enter. Now I am able to see that views.py in my project. Understanding? Okay. So now parallelly we'll open urls.py. Okay. In this urls.py, by default some URLs configured. You can observe here URLs pattern. Okay, let me open this imports also. Observe from django.contrib import admin. This Django server or Django project by default gives me admin portal. That admin will be having so many URLs. That admin URLs by default Django itself added to me. Okay, by default Django itself added to me. So this is the pattern to add URL patterns, whatever the URLs you have to add. This is the pattern actually. Now after this, whatever the your URLs you can add here. Understanding? Now what they used here, they used one function called path, then they are using one routing name, then they are mapped with the things. Correct now? Same pattern you have to follow here actually. Like path, okay, path, then open parenthesis. Now I will give here, I can give home, okay, home slash, okay, then comma, see that home what I am giving, that is the URL routing name, like 127.0.0.1:8000. After that what should come, that is the URL routing point. Correct now? Now once I click on home, When user navigate to home, I should get home page details something. Correct? Now this URL should have one function, home function, let's assume. So I'm going to define that function in our views. I must define that function in our views. Correct now? Let us come to views. Let us come to views. How will you write the function in the Python? We'll use def keyword and function name, then parenthesis parameter so and so something. Here also same thing guys, nothing else. We'll use def. What is the function name I should use now? Home. Whatever the URL you are going to create. Now parenthesis colon. Then here actually we are not working with normal Python, right? We are working with web server and Django web server. Now that URL giving me HTTP request, correct? After executing this home function, I have to send HTTP response. Understanding? So this HTTP request, this HTTP response, these two are inbuilt Django classes, guys. Okay? To get the request, to send the response. Now I have to use those things. I have to use those things in each functions. Okay? Let's say in this home, when URL is navigated to home, it should get the request. So you must keep your request parameter compulsory. You must keep your request parameter compulsory. Understanding? Now this is just a simple example I am showing. Here it should return the output. It should return the output. Which output? HTTP response output. Okay? HTTP response output. This is the function like class. We are going to give the output inside this. Welcome to my home page. Okay? But if you observe, I am getting some red line under that HTTP response. Can anybody guess why I am getting that one? Because that class is present in the Django library. I mean Django default things. Nah? I have to, if I am using that means I have to import that. Correct. I want to use anything from other packages, you have to import that. So I want to import that, guys. Like if you go there, you can just see here. I can see the suggestion from the PyCharm that HTTP response class present in the Django.http module. Okay, I just click over there. From Django.http, then import HTTP response. Okay. Now my code is clear. My code is clear. Now this home function I have to map where now? In the URLs file.
Excuse me. I'm not getting suggestions here. Is anything wrong with the Python or
No, don't double click. Single click. You just tap over there. Yeah, it will come. No need to click that. You just over your mouse on that particular thing, suggestion will come. No need to click. Okay. Now next is like I want to map this function to urls.py. Okay. Meanwhile, everybody following what I am doing, right? Okay. Now I am coming to urls.py. Here you have to say when that 8000/home it enters, you have to go to the home function in the views file. Correct. Now what will you do here? You will be mentioning function name called home. Okay. But this function name is present in the other file. You have to import that. Okay. Like, but I am not getting suggestion because you have to mention the. Okay, wait a minute. Views dot home. Okay. That home is a views for me, right? Now you have to import that views. Okay. From sometime suggestion will not come. You have to go with our coding. From what is my project name? My first project. Okay, import okay, just a minute. Okay, you can do this way from current directory. Okay, means dot if you put from current directory import views. Okay, from current directory means dot from dot import views. That means from this project there is a views that's what I am importing now. After that I just remove this forever one more time. I will take this views then dot. Now you can see inside that views file whatever the function you define you can able to access here. See there is a home function, it is coming for me here. Okay, select that. But here no need to mention the parentheses and all, no need, just a name of the function you have to give. Now URL is created. Okay, URL is created and view function, home function is created. These two things we are doing now, right now. And mapping URL with function, that is what here I am doing. This URL I am mapping with view function. Understood guys? Okay, up to this everybody done? Let's check this is going to work or not. I should get, when I go to home slash na, I should get this should be executed, I should get this output, correct? Let's go to terminal here. Okay, because I don't want to follow again this server is running now. Now this terminal dir, okay, yeah, venv is there, venv slash scripts. Okay, venv slash scripts, then activate, correct na? Enter. Now I am getting some problem guys, maybe you might also get this, right? Like something you are not allowed to running the script, something like execution policies, restriction something, right? So in this PyCharm having some security issue, like executing the script na, it is not allowing me. So what we can do, you can set this execution policy, override this execution policy. Okay, so there is one command should run. Okay, let's take that command. Just a minute. Okay, yeah, so we should depend Stack Overflow as a developer. Okay, now here you should take one command. Okay, set execution policy unrestricted. Okay, that's cool, we'll try this. Restriction I have to make it as unrestriction. Okay, let's go there. Then yeah, copy and paste, but still it's not taken that, I think. Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, maybe scope current user we can try. Set execute policy, remote signed, scope current user. Okay. Yeah, it's taken for me with this command. It will depend from system to system. Okay. Maybe without this execution policy, for some people it might working. I don't think so. I don't know that. Set execution policy, again space execution policy, remote signed scope current user, because in a system different users will be there, na? Admin user or current user, that going to be complex thing. Now what we'll do, I can activate this venv now. I can whatever the error I got, I copied that error, put in the Google Stack Overflow. I got this one. Okay. Okay. Now I want to activate venv, right? venv/script/activate. The problem is solved now. My venv got activated. Okay. So now I just remove this command prompt, close this. From here itself I can run my server now. From here itself I can communicate with my Django server. So now what will you do? What is the command? Python manage.py run server. Run server. Okay. Python manage.py run server. Cool. What's happening? Python manage.py run server. I think let me check. Yeah, I have to cd into my first project. There is no that manage.py. That's the issue. Okay. Yeah. Now Python manage.py run server. We are good to start the server. Okay. Now server is started. You can navigate from here itself by clicking this link. It will open. It will open in the web browser. Now it's saying that page not found, because previously by default 8000 port it was rendering its default page. Okay, it was rendering its default page. Now I have created my own URL. In this 8000 port I am not giving any page to render, page to display, right? Now what is, and observe, the using the URL configure defined, you are defined something URLs like admin is there, home is there, correct na? Now you have to go to home/home, correct, /home. When I navigate to /home, the request went to the urls.py and it searched for home and it is going to views.py and it is executing home function. Inside that home function, right, see the request came here, correct? It has checked this URL, and from this URL it has went to this home function. You can see, press the control and press this home, it jumped to that view function. Then in the view function it has entered, like executed this, and it has rendered the HTTP response back to the web page. That's what I am seeing here. Welcome to my web page. Okay, maybe we can put here h1, like this is just HTTP response, na? Like all the tags we can use as well. 1 minute. Let's refresh. See that h1, h2, h3 headings, like that will reflect here. Okay, up to this everyone clear? Okay, so today I will stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue with remaining things. Just a minute, I'll stop my